All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of the Good Life Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Blakely, and this is a fun one because we get to kind of circle back with a business that we spoke with about 11 months ago. So Michael, Amy, Dustin, Lindsey from the Upper Room Brewery. Guys, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
We talked about this the first time I came, and I told him that I thought that it would be really interesting to have an opportunity to talk to a business that was just starting at the time, but to see what the first year in business was like for them. And so that's really what today is. It's not going to be like any other podcast we've done before because this is just different. And I've told him none of the questions are going to be the same, but I think that there's going to be a ton that we're going to be able to get out of this. So thanks again. So, general question, how are things going at the Upper Room?
I'd say it's going well. We got new hats. Last time you were here.
I heard the hat supply has been in demand. It's hard to get them.
Yeah, we sell out of hats pretty quick.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, it's been good. I think we've learned a lot through this first year. Not just, I think, learned a lot about brewing on this scale. Learned a lot about running your own business. Learned a lot about the different roles that each one of us plays and how to work together to make this successful. So, but I'd say all in all, good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I think like when people ask us how it's going, I think the answer that I kind of go to is, I don't know, we're grinding, just because we don't have anything to compare it to, and as long as we can pay the bills and there's a little bit extra at the end of each month, then I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, we've evolved, I think, quite a bit, not just on like the business aspect of it, but also just personnel and what do we all do, and figuring out kind of our interests and our talents and trying to align that and progress.
Yeah.
So,
ladies.
Same. Yeah, ditto. I'm going to decorate for Christmas soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that.
One more thing to decorate.
It's all right. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we didn't go into more debt our first year. Like Dustin said, we can pay our bills and pay our staff, which for the first year, given all the circumstances, I feel like that's a really high achievement.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely it is.
yeah.
So I was looking at the date of the first podcast. It was December 18th when we put that out. And you guys were still at that point about 3 weeks from opening. Is that right?
Oh my gosh.
That was about a couple months, I think, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
It was about a month.
Yeah, we
Was it a
opened
month?
January
Okay.
20th.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that was like bug on a windshield. Dustin's like, we have got to open. And
Yeah.
I mean, Mike was losing weight literally by the day, brewing as much as he could, and we still only opened with like 4 beers, something like that on
I think we
tap.
did have only 4.
It was,
Or no,
yeah.
it was only 3. Yeah.
3 beers.
It
Wanted
was,
to have 8.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Like,
we had a building phase.
Yeah.
Pour something in the tea.
I know, yeah, it was a hot mess. Yeah.
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 So
So
I'm glad that's behind us.
Yeah.
The stress of
for sure.
opening, but you still had to deal with COVID restrictions when you opened, right?
Yeah.
As far as the amount of people that you could have in here.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever under a capacity ordinance, but with the city of
mask.
Kearney, we had the mask ordinance. That was, when did that go into effect? Late November, I think, or something like that, but it ended at the end of February, and so we were open for about a month that we had that mandate, but I think that was about it, though.
That's about it.
Yeah.
What were the first couple months like? Just from a drink from a fire hose aspect.
Yes, that sums it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drinking
Emotional.
from a fire hose.
Still trying to figure out it's kind of the brewing process, moving from a home brewer to this size of brewing. I went from 5 gallons to 62 gallons, 12 times what I was doing at home, and the process is still pretty much the same, but still just trying to figure out the equipment and how do you move that much liquid from one vessel to the next vessel, and dry hopping and just milling my own grains and stuff of that nature. Just trying to figure all that out, as well as running a tap room and I'm trying to figure out the schedule of it all, and what do I brew next, and what do people want to drink, and what beers do I want to bring forward from my repertoire, and hopefully they enjoy it. But yeah, it was very much drinking from a fire hose. Late nights, some early mornings, very long days from the get-go, which I think probably goes along with any new business, business owner.
You should talk about the first time you brewed and what kind of spirits you were in after that experience.
That was an adventure. That was I guess, I don't know if this is a question down the road, but any advice I would give to somebody wanting to do what we've done would be not to start out brewing your most expensive beer the first time you brew on your new equipment. I don't know, maybe somebody else would have a better go at it than I did, but I think I started brewing at about 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday, and I think I got home at 1 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Wow.
Which is not typical for me anyway. It was our hazy IPA, the Glory Cloud, and was excited to get that going and get that out there, but having not brewed on this equipment before, kind of knew what I was doing, but it still turned into a holy mess. Didn't really have a good way to sparge, which is after you mash, you soak the grains, you run water on top of the grains to rinse and get as much sugar out as possible. And so I didn't have a good way at the time to do that, so I wasn't sparging, but I had all my grains in a basket and my water volume to the max, and apparently it was just I do a recirculating mash, so I'm pulling liquid from the bottom and putting it back on top to try and boost my efficiency that way. And apparently things were running through the grains pretty slowly, so I was getting more liquid on top of the mash than was going through, and so it was starting to spill over the basket, not onto the floor because it's still within the kettle, but it was doing that, and then got all that finished, got the boil going, and started boiling over, like you do with pasta or something. But this is hot, sugary water coming over, and so kind of freaking out about that, and then.
He was here by himself too, I think, during that whole time. So he had no one else to help.
My brother and his wife did stop in just to see how things were going, and at that point I was like, well, I got to figure out how to empty this grain basket, because if I can't empty the grain basket, then I can't brew the next day because there's still spent grains in there. And so they stopped by and helped me contrive something. I can't remember what at this point, but we got it emptied, but I was still kind of went home after all of that, like I said, at 1 or 2 in the morning, and didn't really sleep well because I was still trying to figure out how am I going to do all of this and do it more efficiently and stuff. As a homebrewer, I would just take the spent grains from my homebrew stuff and throw it in the garden and call it good. There's no garden here.
It's a big garden.
That would be a lot of grains to throw into a garden. So, but I pulled through. told Dustin the next day, like, I need a break.
Yeah.
That one batch almost did me in.
Yeah.
And so the next couple batches after that, I did just half batches. I'm like, I'm just going to slow it down, just get a handle on my process here and the equipment. And so the next couple batches, I did just 31 gallons. And those went a lot smoother, and then eventually got back into doing the full
Sure.
process. So still, even at this point, 11 months into it, I just brewed our 50th batch last week. It's hard to believe it's been that many beers already, but
Yeah.
But even now, I'm still tweaking things and figuring stuff out on how to improve the process, improve efficiencies and stuff of that nature. So it's really a never-ending process, as just hoping that at the end of the process, still hoping that the beer is drinkable and
Sure.
and not just drinkable, but good.
Yeah. Enjoyable.
Excellent. So
Good.
yeah.
What from the financial side? What were the first couple months like?
Emotional, I would say. Like we would have, and again, we have no other data to go off of, and so kind of it is what it is, and keep track of the revenue in the month, keep track of the expenses, and okay, things are looking good. And like you try to find trends if you can.
Yeah.
And but it was just really hard though, because it was new and exciting in the first month. I would say it's just like, man, if this is how it is like forever, we're going to be sitting pretty good.
Yeah, the community of Kearney
Yeah.
really embraced us and like showed up and supported us the first couple months. So
Yeah. I mean, it's there's probably no higher highs in terms of a professional and a business owner to have just a great day, but there's no lower lows though when you don't, and it's hard to not get so consumed in the numbers on like a daily basis. And I try to tell myself that a lot, and they help with that too.
Yeah.
Try to counsel me too. But yeah, I don't know. It was emotional. It was a lot of fun though. It is now, but like, yeah, it was fun.
It's different in the beginning.
Yeah.
How much? One of the questions that I had was, you guys had a lot of promotion on social media when you were getting ready. How much did that help you when you did finally open, where the community's coming in? But how much do you think that gave you the runway you needed to be successful those first couple months?
Yeah, I think it was pivotal because we have a tap room that's not huge, so we don't need a couple hundred people a day to come through. I mean, you get 25, 30 people in here, it's packed, and it's a good vibe. And I think that social media allowed us to hit that number. I think I wouldn't say easily, but it was an achievable goal, though.
Sure.
That it just really helped get the word out, and when it's packed in here, it's a great environment, and I think people feed off of that, and then they come back. And I don't know, I think it was efficient.
Well, and two, we didn't have a large marketing budget.
Sure.
We still don't.
Yeah.
So,
But you don't really need one.
right. I mean,
Necessarily.
the social media aspect has been kind of a blessing in that regard, because we don't need a big marketing budget at this point to get advertisement out there or the word out there. And so I'd say in the beginning that was a huge help in getting us up and going.
Yeah.
That first night that we opened, I don't think we had any idea what we were doing, but it was packed in here.
Yeah. Was it the four of you behind the bar first night?
It was the two of us, and then I think you came later that night, didn't you?
Yes, I did too after work.
Yeah, we were on
Other
dish
work.
detail because we were like, don't make me use the Arrived app, and trying to figure that out the first night.
Yeah.
I can clean dishes. I can clean bathrooms.
We only had 3 beers on at the time too, so which sounds like you could maybe be able to manage things a little better. But it was still.
It was chaotic.
It was
chaotic.
I remember it was you and I,
Yeah.
and we opened up at 4, and there were people here at quarter till, and you're not going to turn them away or say, "Well, you got 15 minutes, you need to wait."
You would.
We let it. Well, no, I would. No.
That 15 minutes was your soft opening.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was our soft opening, right? Yeah.
Floodgates.
Luckily, it was a buddy of mine from high school that lives in California, and he was actually back for this opening, but he was back in town, but came here, and he actually saw how busy Michael and I were, and he has bartending experience, and he was like, "Dude, you want me to help?" And I said, "Yes, please." So he jumped back and did some dishes and whatever, wiped tables, and but yeah, that was intense.
I mean, it was at capacity at 4:00.
Yeah, yep, it was
or something.
Yep. So that was the high. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's important for someone that's going to be starting a business, if they're going to have a brick and mortar, like, let your customers go through the journey with you.
For sure.
And I think that's what you guys really did, is when you were building this thing out, when something would change, when you would add a new piece, when you got everything in the back room, like, you let people know about that. And so I think the people were excited to come in here because they got to walk through that journey with you before you even opened the door. And so I think that's one of the values that social media can bring is, and I think that's a good lesson. Like, don't wait until you're open. Take advantage of it and let people go through that journey with you.
Yeah.
The highs and the lows. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we said, "Oh, we're planning on opening in October." Oh, no, not yet. Maybe November.
Right.
No, not yet. Maybe December. Okay.
Kidding.
We've
We're
got to
pulling
drive
the
to
trigger on
Colorado to
January.
get the
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, they,
Yeah.
I guess, had the opportunity to share in those disappointments as much as we did.
For sure.
Yeah, and have that support.
Yeah.
I'm really curious on how the 4 of your relationship, or the 2 couples, however, but over the last 11 months, how has that developed, changed, been stressed, been strengthened? Just kind of talk about that part of it. Ladies, you go first.
I mean, I feel like you have more of an understanding of who each other are, so you kind of already I mean, I don't want to say assume, but know kind of what their answers might be on certain questions or preferences on different things. Kind of more like, I mean, a family, really. Like, so it's like if you go a week and, haven't touched base, well, you know that if the other couple's not doing well, they would have said something or reached out in some way or in passing. I don't know. I think we were all at 11 months ago just all so high stress or just anxious, ready for things to get going. And the stress of getting our equipment in and making sure we have all the finances in line. And, oh, this pops up. Oh, that's another $10,000. It just was all a little overwhelming. And I think now, yes, it still has its challenges, of course, and new things come up all the time, but I guess we can manage through it a little better, and we know each other better. Sure. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, I can't remember who said it, but you kind of know what each other's strengths are. So, I'm so grateful that Lindsey likes to decorate the place and do all of that, because my house looks like people live there and we don't really decorate a whole lot. So it's good for her to, she's like, oh, I've got this. I got a bunch of stuff and I went in and decorated. I'm like, great. That is wonderful. And then same thing when Dustin's role was kind of changing at UNK, he's like, well, I think I'm going to have to step back a little bit. And I was like, okay, so that's fine. I can step up and do the schedule. So it's good because, again, you kind of know, someone's always got something covered. If someone can't do it, then one of us will step up and do it. And I think it's been good, because we had this dream of oh, wouldn't it be fun for you to brew beer for a living? And that's not at all, the end of that of that story. There's a whole lot more that goes into it. So it's nice to have another couple who understands the journey that is going on and the process that's going on, I think it's probably helped us not to have as many fights as we probably could have. And you just have like another, like Lindsey said, like family, just to kind of help share the burden of like, oh my gosh, this is not going well. This is not working like I thought, but you're not in this alone. There's some more support.
Yeah.
And we have great employees too. Like all of them have
fantastic.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot relies on our trust in them, and that's how we kind of, I don't know, stay afloat. I guess is that we can trust them and don't really have to worry too much.
Yeah, because
when they're the ones manning it for the whole day or weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
So, which is very important with everything else that we have going on that doesn't involve the brewery. So.
Right.
That's a good point too.
They've been wonderful. So can't say enough about.
I think if there's any kind of anxiety or like stress, it comes when the tap room is closed. Like it's kind of the
probably for you
behind the scenes. Well, but if we're open though, that's not when Michael's brewing. That's not when we're talking about marketing or numbers or events or planning or anything. Like we're just open and we pour beer, and that's that's for sure why we're here. And a large part of that is because of the staff that we have.
Yeah, I think over the 11 months, I think just going back to the roles, I think solidifying kind of those roles. Obviously, I'm brewing and kind of doing the day-to-day stuff here at the tap room and brewery, trying to keep the beer fermenting and flowing, and still rely heavily on Dustin for his financial expertise and doing the books and the spreadsheets. He starts talking about COGS and point of sale stuff or whatever, and I just kind of get that glassy eye feeling.
I'm going to go in the back.
He could talk about that stuff all day, and that's just not my wheelhouse. And I could talk about brewing all day, and that he would drink it. Different listening to somebody talk about yeast and the activity of yeast and the changes in the mash temperature, how that affects the beer and stuff. And, still need to get him into the brew house one of these days. But
well, that's
if I give a tour, I make sure that Michael's not in the tour because maybe half of it's right.
It doesn't matter if he's not there.
But I think these 11 months, being able to lean into each other, even more so as far as those roles are concerned, and I know Dustin's got basically the finances in order. If I have a question on something, he can spit me a number pretty quickly and stuff. And
how has you two's relationship, because you depend very heavily on him. He takes a lot of the weight off your shoulders as far as the finances and things like that. So how's your guys' relationship developed? And you don't have to get into specifics, but was there ever a time where you kind of had to maybe put the ego aside, check the ego, and just come to an agreement as far as, for the greater good? Or has it been pretty good for the most part? And again, you don't have to get into specifics. Like no relationship's perfect, but...
I'll let you go first if you want.
Yeah.
It's a tough question.
Well, if you look behind me in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
There's a TV.
There's a TV in the corner. I wasn't going to see him. But I saw it there.
I thought about turning it on for this. I'm like, nope, not going to. See, I do have some control. Self-control.
So I had to die to myself on that one. It's the only one screen in the place, and I think so far we've been good at managing when it's on. I mean, we have it on whenever the tap room's open, just
Yeah.
scrolling through promotional stuff.
Sure.
But we have had it on for Husker games and Loper games, yeah, my desire is still to have it on minimally throughout the year, just
Sure.
for special events that we promote.
Yeah.
So that's that was a tough one for me.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really helped, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time will tell, I guess.
Right.
Time will tell. Yeah, that's I guess probably a good example of like a compromise, in that, if we have it here and if we can use it to help market and promote upcoming events, but then also have it to where we can tie in community to where like we do have community in the tap room, and that everything that's on there, it's on purpose and there is a purpose. And I think looking at through that prism maybe was just enough to kind of push him over the edge, I think, a little bit, and say, all right, we'll give it a shot, kind of thing. But no, I think in terms of a relationship and how it's grown is, I think from day one, there was always some kind of level of trust in there, and I think just our personalities are alike in terms of just approachable and just open to new ideas, and there's really no ego. It's whatever you got to do to make it work, kind of thing. And I think that we just kind of we were on the right step from day one. And I think that if for anyone out there that's talking to a person about trying to go into business or thinking about it, you really have to meet and talk as people first, and to make sure that you guys are on the same page. Because if you're not from day one, it's not going to go, and it's not going to end well.
Yep.
Either. More importantly, so yeah, I think there's just a lot of trust there, and the beer's great.
Yeah.
So that I can't tell you how to make it, but it's it's
Or
good.
what the
Tell 'em how to
equipment
drink it,
does.
though.
I can tell them how to drink it.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at like trying to explain the taste of the beer. We have a fruit beer on tap now that's really hard to explain. So I'm just like, here's a sample. I don't know. It's got basil. It's got some basil and blueberry in it. But it's a little tart. It's not really a dark beer. It's a fruit beer.
It's a
so
fruit beer.
Here's
It's
a
different.
little taste.
Drives him nuts.
Probably. Yeah.
And that's a heavy question, and I think you guys did a good job of answering it. But it's a dynamic that if you go into business with partners, you're going to face it, and not every day is going to be great. And so that's the reason that I asked. So
Yeah.
good job answering that. The other thing was two-part question. First off, how long did you go before you hired employees, and how has that changed? I know you said the employers are great, but how was it to get used to managing employees? Was that hard?
I think it was easy.
They really spoiled us. We don't have to manage them that much.
We had when we opened, we had maybe 5 or 6 part-time
So you
bartenders.
had employees right away.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
And we're lucky in the fact that we only have part-time employees, and we know them all. We knew them before we opened, and they're family, friends, and people that we highly trust. And
So probably even when we had, 11 months ago, we already kind of had most of them in line. Even prior to that, I think we obviously knew that there's no way that we could just run the whole place by ourselves without some bartenders or beer pourers, if you will. But
beer tenders.
yeah, so we already knew mostly who that was going to be, just through knowing their backgrounds and their availability. So that was an easy start, and then we haven't had to. They went through one little training with the point of sale system, and
Off and running?
yeah, there was hardly any coaching or guidance like that needed for these specific
And they
people.
know, we are a small business, and so there's times that they text me and they're like, hey, it's really slow and there's 2 of us here. I'm just going to clock out early. Like, they are responsible to help us manage cash flow here.
Sure.
And then, like, if it's really busy, it's like, oh, so-and-so needs a little help, so I'm just going to stay a little bit longer. And I'm like, sounds good. Great. I appreciate that you're willing to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, like Lindsey said, we knew between, like, the 3 of us still have regular jobs. So, like, if I was ever going to see my husband, we needed to have some employees to help us with that. So at this point, like, it's really more of like a respite situation for Mike, just to give him a break. And so they know that, and they respect that, and really try to help us like still have some sort of family time, which again, I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a super great crew, and I don't think we could ask for better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a perfect segue, because one of the questions I've got on here is, how has the work-life balance been? Was that something that you had to get used to? Was
Yes.
it something that you, you had the first night was a sleepless night
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
which I think it is for a lot of small business owners, but juggling the work-life balance, even with employees, talk about that a little bit. Were you ready for that?
No. 'Cause I would say the first 3 or 4 months, it seemed like I was brewing. Like, I didn't really, I guess at that time, have a good routine as far as the brewing was concerned. So I was, anytime a tank was empty, I was throwing something else in there, whether it was a Tuesday or a Thursday, and Wednesday, whenever. And on days that I was scheduled to bartend, so there were first 3 or 4 months, I was oftentimes putting in 14 hours here at the tap room, or in the building anyway, brewing in the morning and then hustling to clean stuff up afterwards and open up, and then bartending in the evening. And I was not ready for that, but
Yeah.
survived.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually worked out a better scheme for brewing, to where I wasn't brewing on the day that I was bartending.
Sure.
But yeah, there's some aspects of things, like I help with the schedule and special events and stuff like that. And so, you're like, oh, if I bartend, then we don't have to pay staff to do it. And so you're wanting to help out with that as much as possible. But like, I'm still a mom, and I still want to see my kids and stuff
Sure.
like that. So it has been difficult, I feel like, to manage a lot of that, trying to leave work on time so I can get home to be with the kids, because he's already had to open the tap room, yada yada. So it's been a big balance. Some months we've done it better than others. So that's how you just learn, and you're like, okay, that is not a responsible choice. We can't do that again. So
Sure.
next month needs to be different.
Yeah, I think that was also kind of a big shocker, was just the switch in schedules, to where before, we were both working and would come home and have the evenings together, and now I'm usually, like we said, bartending in the evening, and she's home with the kids, and we just kind of value our free time together a lot more, but it's a lot more scarce than it was
Yeah.
11 months ago.
Yeah.
So, but we're surviving.
Yeah, again,
Making
like,
it work.
it's a new phase of life, so you have to figure out, like, you take him dinner so you can see him that day and stuff like that. You just have to find your pockets of time and
Yep.
realize, again, it's for a season. Like, the eventual goal is to get it to where he doesn't have to bartend at all, but
Right.
like, we're not close to that goal at all. So making the best of it.
But we
And
have goals.
what you're in.
So that's
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same for you guys.
What do you think? What?
Well, I don't know. I don't have the best things. I'm a nurse, and it's freaking 21, 22, 2020. I don't know. It's just been kind of an 18 to 24 months anyway.
Yeah.
I guess I can't really answer this super. And then Dustin has taken on new roles at the college, and yeah, I don't know. You answer more, because
Yeah, I would say it was kind of an adjustment for sure at first because I was bartending once a week from the time we opened until I think I stepped back in August from doing that. So between that and then the scheduling at first, and then coordinating the event calendar and coordinating like food trucks and community outreach, like that kind of thing. It took a long time to just. It wasn't hard. It just took a lot of communication and a lot of like emails bad enough at my job, and just trying to organize and manage that kind of communication too. It was just kind of overwhelming where I was always on my phone, talking with people, emailing, Facebook messaging. That was probably
right.
Really
So he's not one to get stressed too easily. He's very laid back, and so I am not the laid back one of the our duo. And so when he was getting stressed and stuff, it just made me feel even more stressed and anxious than prior. So, just
it's hard to shut your brain off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And with technology today, it's so easy to keep it on too.
Yeah.
And that was pretty
Which
hard.
some
but
of
I
that
think,
was expected, of course, opening a business.
Yeah, but like it's also different though if you like it and if you enjoy it.
Yeah.
But at what cost though too, and so I think we're at a point now. I know that to where it's definitely manageable. Amy's done a great job of picking up the schedule, reaching out to food trucks and vendors and community people for our Giving Back Wednesday campaign. Bands, concerts. I didn't know if you knew that you would kind of be a concert promoter.
I know, it's like having my own personal business mentor, because when we first started, I was like, well, so-and-so wants to do this. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, it's your business. I felt like I needed to ask for permission, but I didn't know what I was doing. And so, my first time negotiating a contract with a band or whatever, Dustin's like, well, we could go up to this, but offer them this. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, I booked a band. I did it all by myself.
Yeah. So it's been fun. Yeah.
Very cool. I wanted to touch on that as well. You guys have done a lot of collaboration with food trucks, local businesses. I know you got Gambino's. You guys do something on Wednesdays where you're giving back. Just talk about that a little bit, how that has been good for you guys. I think you've done an amazing job of involving the community where it's not just your business. You are involving people all the time, it seems like, looking at your social media. So just talk about that and the importance of it, I guess, for your business.
I think that was part of the vision from the get-go, was being not necessarily a beacon in the community, but a very prominent contributor to the community.
Sure.
One of my prayers for this place was to be a blessing not only to us, but to the community. And so that's something I pray for every night when we say our prayers. And so I think from the get-go that has been important to us. Every month we've reached out to different charities and had even a few contact us themselves to be part of our Give Back Wednesdays, where we give a portion of each beer sold. $1 from each beer goes back to that charity.
Yep.
And so just trying to, like I said, be a blessing that way. And the Gambino's deal's been great. I hope they've seen it as a value to them. I know we've had numerous people throughout the weeks come in and they've already ordered and come in and wait for it, or they order it from here and whatnot. But our regulars know that that's an option, and there's some regulars now that that's what they come in and do on a Thursday night, is have a beer and order Gambino's and play a board game or whatever the case may be. But,
Well, and I feel like that's the thrust of naming it the Upper Room too. You know, that's a place in the Bible of community and fellowship. And again, like that was part of our vision from the beginning.
Yeah.
We have a slightly different business model in mind, being Christians, and realizing like you can work as hard as you want to, but it's still only as successful as the Lord will will it to be.
Sure.
So we want to honor that and respect that, and you know, be a part of the community and make a place where people can come and find out a little bit about God, a little bit about Jesus that isn't a church, and maybe is a little less intimidating because we do the theology on taps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, just even explaining the thrust behind the name or why we're doing a Give Back Wednesday, I feel like it, you know, that kind of stuff just holds a special place for us because we do get to have some different conversations with people that you wouldn't normally get
Sure.
to if we were named, you know, the Drooly Dog or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, as a small business owner, no matter what business you open, at some point you realize that this is a platform that you get to have. And, you know, where you are serving beer, you get to meet people where they are some nights and get an opportunity to, you know, talk to them. And this is your platform. So I commend you guys. I think you've done an amazing job involved in the community. And so I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, I get asked every once in a while if I miss being a chaplain with hospice.
Yeah.
And you know, of course I miss the people that I worked with and in that aspect, but I tell them, like, I don't think much has really changed.
Yeah.
I still get to visit with people behind the bar and listen to what's going on in their lives and
Yep.
the ups and downs, and hopefully provide some encouragement to them.
Yeah.
As well, so
It's awesome. Yeah. So, a couple more questions. One more question. If you could go back 11 months to right after we did the interview, I walk out of here, and you four walk in here before the upper room had opened, any advice that you would give to the group?
So when you're measuring numbers, you want to give yourself as much time. Like, don't compare a Tuesday in the third week of January to the Thursday on the fourth week of January, because like
You'll drive everybody else.
you drive everyone crazy, and you'll drive yourself crazy.
or the third Thursday in January to the fourth Thursday in June.
I made there's a new chart that I made on Saturday. It's
He gets
great.
very excited
It's-
about them, though, so
Um,
you just let him do his thing, but keep some of us out of it.
Yeah, it's. I would say, and like looking back, but also going forward, it's. I wouldn't say that panic is the right word, but don't. What's that?
Don't fret.
Don't fret. Don't change who you are or think you have to pivot that drastically to make it work. I think it's good to pivot and change. Like we've done things, you know, like with the TV. At first, we're not going to, you know, have any kind of distribution. But now we're distributing. Like we're in taps around Kearney, and the community in Kearney's in terms of the business owners that have us have been great, and they've been very complimentary about the beers that we have. Like that wasn't part of the vision going into it, but like adapted. But like it's kind of a controlled.
Be open to new ideas.
Be open to new ideas without sacrificing like the vision or the
Right.
image that you want to portray.
The theme that came up over and over when I listened to the old podcast today, and the patience came up over and over and over, just because of what you guys had gone through throughout the year. But trusted too. You know, I think that if you probably thought you knew each other 11 months ago, and you probably laugh at that now because you probably know each other way better.
Sure.
But I said when I walked in here, I could just feel how much more relaxed you were. And I think that that's just from being in it for 11 months, even though, you know, 11 months doesn't seem like a long time. I was thinking back to last December, and I was thinking, man, that seemed like a long time ago. And it probably seems like maybe it seems like a long time ago, maybe it doesn't for you guys, I don't know. But I just want, like, you can just tell the chemistry that you guys have. You can tell that you are relaxed and that you are comfortable with what this has become, and you're excited about the future. And so, yeah, I wanted to say that. I just felt it when I walked in the room, and I think you guys are doing an amazing job. Before we get done here, talk about some of the things that you have going on as far as when you're doing trivia nights. Just talk about all that stuff, all the things you have going on. Whatever night it is, what packages.
Well, I feel
You do
like
the
we've
videos,
kind
yeah,
of,
this has been your
we've kind of
video
done the
guide.
shotgun approach on events because we weren't quite sure like what was going to work and what was going to stick.
Sure.
I feel like we've kind of got to it now where we do trivia the last Thursday of the month, except for this month because it's Thanksgiving. So it's this Thursday
Sure.
because, of course,
Holidays.
we always
Holidays.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got the Give Back Wednesdays, and then we do a Theology on Tap, usually again on a Thursday. And then I've been trying to get one concert a month for some sort of other event. And then we're usually doing some kind of bingo, so like traditional bingo, or I've started doing music bingo, like, and alternating those once a month. So again, like just trying to find a balance of like, we want this to be a place where people can like just come and hang out and talk. So it's not like event all the time, because
Sure.
if you want to just come hang out with your spouse and talk to them, it would be a great place for that.
Right.
But people like to go out and have fun, so we want to provide some of that too. So, yes, we kind of have a set package that we do each month, but the days and stuff usually end up varying a little bit. So,
Got it.
food trucks are just, we're at the mercy of whatever they will give us.
Sure.
Because not all of them go through the winter and all of that stuff. So it's like, well, if we have a food truck, we have a food truck.
Right.
Well, and we have lots of like special events too. Like we've had the place
Yeah.
rented out for baby showers on like a Sunday, or like bridal showers, which have everybody's been very happy with the people that have done that.
The rustic patch.
Rustic Patch, yeah, we've got a paint night. We actually have one coming up next Monday. We're not open on Monday, so it's not like we have to close down or anything. So all that's just, extra. And I think our classes, I don't know, going to be full or half full. And just different fun things like that too that come up and don't necessarily mean we have to like close down or like ask other people to leave because can kind of fall on days that we wouldn't be open anyway. And
Sure.
so we can kind of control that too. If it's not going to work for, somebody to work it, then we just, apologize and, find something that does work or, I don't know. I think that's the beauty of that too. Or, yeah, sure. We'd love to, figure it out and get somebody here to bartend your event. So
So the opportunity's there for them to rent the facility.
right.
Yeah. And talking about like adapting without changing the business that was a topic of conversation. We try to meet once a month or so, which always it doesn't happen, and a lot of times it's just through text, like on a daily
Sure.
basis or something. But yeah, we want to have this place available for rent because it's a great space for a baby shower, bridal shower, whatever. But at the same time, we don't want to. I have been amazed about the people that come here from all over the country. Like we've had people from California, from Iowa, Pennsylvania. And like, it's crazy. And if they come here, we don't want to turn them away because of a private event, but we also want to have the private event. And
Sure.
we don't have a party room to say, yeah, you can go there. We have a patio, but we could use it today. But
Right.
in most days, you can't.
Yeah.
So that's been a balance, though, on like how do you manage that?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I know you guys got to get going. You got families at home. I want to thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we decided to do this last year. I wish you guys nothing but the best. I think I said that last year when you guys opened, but it's been really cool to see what this has turned into. It's really cool to see you guys sitting at the table again, and I think that this is just more of the things to come. So if you want to do it next year, let me know. We'll see what new challenges you have overcome then. But to the four of you, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Brian.